And now, the show that's all about baseball.
That's when the game, to me, is at its best.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Maz.
Brought to you by Bigelow Tea, Gravely Zero-Turn Lawnmowers, and Window World.
On Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
I don't think it was a tough game at all, to be honest with you. You know, we came back. We were down 3-0, and we did everything possible to win that game. So the tough part, I don't agree with you. We ended up losing a game, and, you know, with a jam shot to center field. That's not bad. We just beat the American League Central champions 3 out of 4. So, I mean, we've been playing good baseball. We're down 3-0. We put good at bats. We tied the game. They ended up winning the game, but you know, it's just another game. We didn't play great overall, but we did everything possible to win the game, and that's what we take out of this one.
A little bit of a feisty Alex Cora yesterday after the Red Sox lost to the Minnesota Twins out at Target Field. It was the final of that game. 4-3 was the final. Red Sox lose to the Twins, but they take 3 out of 4 in the series. And I don't know about the rest of you. The Red Sox flew home last night. I'm sure they did what I did, woke up this morning, looked out the window, and they thought baseball. That's what they thought about. Well, clearly at Fenway Park, they're not playing tonight. They postponed the game. Red Sox and White Sox will now play a doubleheader on Sunday to make that contest up. They'll play tomorrow as scheduled, 2 on Sunday, and then the Patriots Day game on Monday. So don't forget that. 4-gamer this weekend against the White Sox with the holdover on Monday morning. I think this is a good test for the Red Sox, and I want to get to some things that we missed in that series, at least in the last couple of games. We'll do that in the next, 25 minutes or so. Take it right up until 6:30, Bruins pregame. They get the Islanders again tonight right here on 98.5. And as is the case every Friday, and as is the case, will remain the case every Friday, Matt McCarthy joins us here on the Baseball Hour. He does tonight via Zoom. Given the weather and the short show, Matt decided to stay home, and I can't say I blame him. Now, Matt.
Yes.
Before we begin, well, let me ask you the most obvious general question, which is, after 3 games of this season, roughly 2 weeks ago now, you were ready to not only condemn the Red Sox, you were ready to kick them out of the Boston.
Get them out of the city.
Correct. Get them out
This product insults me. It insults me. It offends me to my core. This is truly offensive.
Fake
617-779-0985.
Always remember to give the phone number at the end. That's the way to go. So not only were you going to kick them out of the city, my guess is you were going to kick them out of New England. So where do you stand on the Red Sox today?
Watching them over the last 2 weeks, first and foremost, it gives you the feeling that you're going to have a baseball season, right? Which is all I wanted. And it was why I was so upset. And I think it was why Red Sox fans were so upset that Sunday, Maz, when they got swept by the Orioles, maybe the worst team in the American League, or at least on the short list. The thoughts going through your head, like, we're not going to have a baseball season. The way they have played over the last few weeks, sure, they won 9 in a row, but it's the way they played, the way they grinded out games. It's been an enjoyable product. So, yes, I mean, mea culpa. I was wrong on the Red Sox, no doubt about it. I have thoroughly enjoyed watching them because it looks like they're going to give you a baseball season, Maz, and that's all I wanted from this team. And it looks like they're going to deliver on that.
Yeah, so look, the big thing is to compete, right? The big thing is to compete. And so what we saw the first weekend was just a disaster. And what we've seen since that time has been very competitive. Obviously, they won 9 in a row, but I'm not expecting that, every 10 games for them to go 9-1. I don't think that that's going to happen either. I'm realistic about it. But I do think that they're playing hard and they're giving teams fits. And look, I don't need to tell you, Matt, this Minnesota team is a pretty good team. I mean, they've won a lot of regular season games. Now, they can't win for their lives in the playoffs. But over the course of the regular season since the start of 2019, Minnesota's won the most games in the American League. Not Houston, Minnesota. Not the Yankees, Minnesota. So I do think that series tells us something. And again, for me, it doesn't tell me necessarily that the Red Sox are going to win 3 out of 4 every time they play a good team. But I think it tells me that they can compete and make the games interesting. And if they steal a few along the way, then who knows where we'll be come August and September. So I'm totally for that part of it. Let me just say quickly, by the way, 617-779-0985. We'll take your calls, again, over the next 20, 25 minutes up until Bruins pregame at 6:30.
617-779-0985.
There you go. Matt knows it as well as anybody. And so, Matt, there were a couple things I wanted to touch on from yesterday's game that, we didn't really have the opportunity to do a lot of last night. We had a short show last night as well. We have another one tonight. One thing I never got to yesterday. The Red Sox were in a position where obviously they're down 3-0. They get 3 runs in the 8th on a huge double by Alex Verdugo. We'll get to more on him in a minute. Next segment probably. But the umpiring in that game to me was horrible. And again, I'm not sure how many people saw the game to begin with. The Red Sox were victimized by 2 calls in this game. One, a pitch came up and in on Christian Vazquez. They initially called it a hit by pitch. So Vazquez stopped and did not run to first. The Twins then, I think, threw the ball down to first thinking it hit the knob of his bat. They reviewed it and said that it did hit the knob of his bat, but because they called it a hit by pitch in real time, Vazquez didn't run, and he was called out. Secondly, there was a swing and a miss, and I can't remember who was at the plate for the Twins.
It was the catcher.
Okay, they called it a foul tip in the 8th inning with 2 strikes. Cora was absolutely apoplectic because it ended up giving another strike. It would have been the second out of the inning. It gave another strike to the batter. Matt Andrews ended up getting a strikeout anyway, but Cora went out of his mind and got tossed out of the game. And so I think part of the reason you heard Cora a little bit ornery after the game yesterday is because he felt like they got completely jobbed by the umpires. Now, again, Andrews got the next guy out. And so, the missed strike on the swing on the alleged foul tip was not as big a call as it seemed at the time because the Red Sox still got the out on a strikeout. And if I'm not mistaken, I remember right, Andrews got out of the inning. Or actually, Darwin's and Hernandez came and got out of the inning. And the game went to the 9th, tied 3-3 when Chad Ottavino ultimately blew the game for the Red Sox. But were you as frustrated by the umpiring yesterday, Matt, as most onlookers were?
Oh, yeah, with the second call, absolutely. I mean, that was horrific. And it felt like it was going to cost the Red Sox the game in that time. That was the biggest at bat of the game up until that point. The Vazquez thing, I didn't really have a problem with. I did feel like it hit the knob of the bat. It's one of those replay things that probably cost the Red Sox, and you have to call the guy out because he didn't run. I didn't have a problem with that. The second one, the one that you're talking about, the foul ball that wasn't, I mean, that was horrific. That was absolutely horrific. And for Jordan Baker, the home plate umpire, to be as arrogant as he was about it, when Cora asked them to get together and see if they could review it and see if anybody else saw it, because that play is not reviewable. And, baseball needs to look into that in regards to replay, but it's not reviewable. So Cora asked them to get together and see if, any of the other umpires saw that clearly it was not a foul ball. And Baker said, nobody's going to overturn that. Just the most snarky, arrogant way. That was obviously really, I think, frustrating, as just a fan of sports, a fan of baseball, as a fan of the Red Sox. But I give them credit, Naz, and I give Matt Andrews credit, who I've been critical of. Let's be honest. That was, he got a strikeout that he, didn't get apparently. And he went out and, next pitch struck the guy out again. It speaks of the Red Sox ability to kind of grind these games out. And I think that's why Cora was totally okay with them ultimately losing that game yesterday. It wasn't a game they felt like they were supposed to win, the way they played, the way the umpires screwed them late in the game. Yet they fought, they battled, they grinded it out. And as a fan, you have to love that. Like, you can't control what the umpires are going to do. You can only control what they're doing. And the Red Sox controlled it to the best of their ability. I like seeing that. Yeah,
it was that Andrews situation was indicative of what their best quality has been, Matt. I agree. Tell you what, we'll take a couple of calls. And then we'll get to Alex Verdugo, Darwin's and Hernandez, and a decision Cora made yesterday that, frankly, I think he whiffed on. I know why he did it, but he whiffed on it, and it's something to keep an eye on going forward. Chris is in Worcester. Chris, go ahead.
Thanks. Welcome back, sports or baseball show, whatever we call it. Sorry, Matt. But thank you. Yes, Matt, I wanted to, I was on your boat, and I was like, yes, we cannot do this with the losing 3 in a row to Baltimore at the beginning of the season. And I was peeved, with get Whitlock's comments and all that stuff. But, not, whatever, 8, 9 in a row, and I think it's Cora, and that was my point. I think this is Cora redemption year, and I think it's going to be great, guys. I'm feeling it.
Okay, so, Matt, let me ask you, and Chris, thanks for the call. How much credit do you give Cora, Matt?
A lot of it. I mean, I don't know if you want me to, put a percentage on it, but a lot of it. I think Alex Cora, to me, Maz, is the story with this team. I think, they are not the most talented bunch, but they are playing, like an energetic bunch. And I think that ultimately comes back to the manager. They're aggressive early in counts. They're, aggressive on the base paths. They're aggressive early in these games. Look at Cora bunting the other day in the second inning. There's a level of urgency that Cora has brought back to the job. And you saw that level of urgency in 2018 because it felt like the Red Sox needed a level of urgency, and he brought that. And it feels like he's bringing it again. I think Alex Cora, 100%, Maz, is the primary story with this Red Sox team. This is a bit of a redemption tour for him. In some ways, it's a bit of a redemption tour for the whole organization with the way the last 2 years have gone. They don't have the most talented roster, but they're giving you something on a night in, night out basis, and it starts with the manager to me.
See, Matt, this is why I wanted him back. This is why a lot of people wanted him back, because I think Cora brings credibility to the operation. He's
Agreed.
Popular with the fan base. The players respond to him, and I think it's made a big difference. Tom's in Quincy. Go ahead, Tom.
Hey, what's up, Tony Maz? Listen, I just wanted to talk about how, I'm 32 years old, and baseball has always been like a fluctuating sport in my life. Like,
sure.
There's years I'm really into it. There's years I'm not. I have to say these day games have really drawn me back into it. I don't know if it's just because I'm like have it on while I'm working and it's something to pay attention to distract me through the day. But I'm way more invested this year than I have been probably in the last 5 or 6 years or so. And I think it's because on a Friday night at 7 p.m., I'm not really trying to watch baseball, trying to hang out with the girl or whatever, but it's a lot more intriguing during the day. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, so look, I like these day games too, Tom. I do. I like it. Unfortunately, you're not going to get them during the year, but I think baseball should do more of it for exactly the reason you're saying. I love it. I've loved it this week, and they played, basically all day games in Minnesota. I think they had one night game scheduled there, but then it got wiped out because of the postponement on the first day of the series. So they ended up playing what effectively amounted to a doubleheader during the day on Wednesday. Tuesday, they played a day game. Thursday, they played a day game. So I love it for the same reasons you do. And you're going to get a 7-inning doubleheader again on Sunday here in Boston. And just quickly, the Red Sox have not named a starter for the second game in that series yet. My guess, Matt, is it's going to be Tanner Houck.
I would imagine. Yeah,
a caller suggested earlier during the Felger and Maz show that Garrett Whitlock could be an option there. And again, I wouldn't rule that out. I like the idea of Houck better. But the nice thing is that when the Red Sox dip into that well now and they need another arm, you feel like they have a guy that's actually half decent. And that last year, you couldn't get to day 2 of the rotation and feel like they had somebody functional there. Now they have, a couple of postponements in a week, couple of doubleheaders, and you feel like the guys they are sending to the mound are capable. So 617-779-0985. I want to get to Alex Verdugo, and I know McCarthy has some strong feelings on him. I want to get to Darwinzon and Hernandez, and again, a decision that Cora made yesterday that, frankly, I think he screwed up. And I understand why he did it, but I think there was an opportunity there late in the game for him to make a big move, and he didn't do it. We'll touch on that, too, when we come back.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Mass on Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boom Boom Games, your home for 80s and 90s retro video games, wrestling figures and collectibles, vintage toys, cards, comics, and all your nostalgia needs. They've got something for every console, from Atari 2600 to the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Looking for a specific video game? Let them know and they'll try to source it for you. Do you have some old consoles or collectibles? Bring them in, because Boom Boom Games buys and trades. Boom Boom Games is also your store for Star Wars toys, Pokemon, and the wrestling section will have you feeling that sweet chin music. Boom Boom Games in Billerica. Check them out.
Talking bases on balls.
Huge ones.
It's the Baseball Hour with Tony Mass on your home for Boston sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Here's the 3-1 home. Breaking ball. That one's swatted. Line drive. And a diving play out there in left field by Verdugo to end the ball game. You got to be kidding me. A sprawling stab. And the game is over, and the Red Sox have made it 8 in a row. Line drive and a base hit into right field. Vasquez in to score. Dahlbeck right behind him. He scores. Verdugo continues to have a big day, and the Red Sox lead it 3-1. Line shot. Fair ball down the line. Arroyo is in to score. Renfroe is in to score.
What an at-bat. What an at-bat by Verdugo.
The Red Sox have tied up the ball game.
That was one great at-bat.
Pretty good series by Alex Verdugo in Minnesota. Game-saving catch, a go-ahead hit against a right-hander to right center field, and then a game-tying hit against a left-hander down the third baseline. I thought it was just a brilliant demonstration of what real baseball is like still. No home runs, no walks, no strikeouts. He made a great catch, singled against a righty, doubled against a lefty. And for those of you keeping track of this sort of thing, listen closely, McCarthy.
Mm-hmm. I'm listening.
So far this year, Alex Verdugo, 2 homers, 11 RBI, 11 runs scored. Mookie Betts, 2 home runs, 2 RBI, 10 runs scored. Matt, go.
Yeah, what are you saying with that, Naz, though, really? What are you getting at here? Is this your continued Mookie Betts slander years and years after he's gone at this point? What are you getting at? Why don't you go first there, Maz?
Okay, no. What I'm going to tell you, I want you to go first. Go.
Okay. Listen, hell of a series for the kid. I mean, unbelievable. That at bat yesterday, that's the at bat of the year, Maz. I mean, they might not have a better at bat. You know, if I don't care if they go into October, they might not have a better at bat than what you saw yesterday. That was one hell of an AB from Verdugo. I really like him. I do. But please, can we not overrate him, and can we not turn him into something that, frankly, he isn't? He is a glue guy. He is an energy guy. He is a grit and balls guy. He's the type of guy you want on a winning team. He's the type of guy that helps you turn into a winning team. He's not a star, though, all right? He's a good 2-hitter. He can handle the bat at bit. He can give you ballsy at bats the way he did yesterday. He can come up with a play every once in a while in the field. I don't think he's a great defender. He's a good ball player. He's a true ball player. He's what I want to see on a winning team. He's not a star, Maz. He's just not. You know, you hope that he becomes what you hoped Benintendi was going to become, but never did. But let's not overrate him the way we overrated Benintendi. Let's understand that there's a ceiling here. Again, I really like the player, but let's not turn him into Mookie Betts or anything just yet.
Okay, so, I did it for effect, and I know you probably know that. So this kid's not Mookie Betts. Very few people are. Mookie's a terrific player. But I do find it interesting that when the Red Sox are winning and the kid is producing, nobody mentions Mookie. Because this is really what it's all about. It's about what you do after Mookie. It's not about the fact that you don't have Mookie anymore. I just think that too many people are locked in on that. And if they win, they play hard, people are going to forget about Mookie Betts unless you face the Dodgers in the World Series and Mookie lights you up. This is a totally different scenario. So in his career with the Red Sox, just quickly, Verdugo now, 65 games, 301 average, 842 OPS.
Pretty good.
The kid can play. Okay, yes, he can play the game. He's not a superstar, Matt's right, but he's a good ball player. A couple of things I want to hit on from the weekend quickly, and we'll try to squeeze in one more call. Number one, it was overlooked, but it's not a small development. Darwinzon Hernandez was pretty good in 2 of those games.
Yep.
The first 7-inning game, the one they won 3-2, the one that Verdugo made the catch to end. Darwinzon Hernandez came in after, that was Evaldi's game, if I remember right.
He pitched the 6th.
He came in, pitched the 6th inning, 7 pitches, 5 strikes, 1, 2, 3. Okay, very important because he's got 6 walks in 6 innings. Control's an issue for him, and they're going to need a lefty to come out of that bullpen between him and Josh Taylor, and I have very little faith in Josh Taylor. So I think Cora can get through to this kid. So, and then Hernandez got a big out yesterday after Andrews got into trouble in the 8th. So a big series for Hernandez that was kind of lost in the shuffle.
It's a great point, Maz. They absolutely need a lefty. And sorry, I'll let you get to your second point. But they do. They 100% need a lefty in that bullpen. And this kid's got good stuff. He does. You know, he just needs to find the plate. But they've always been high on him. I've always been high on him. He just needs to find the plate.
So now the second thing, and again, I'll just mention it quickly. It's not a life-altering thing, but I wish Cora had used J.D. Martinez in that game yesterday.
Agreed.
J.D. Martinez did not start the game. He was available to pinch hit. The Red Sox got, in the top of the 9th, They got the second man of the inning on doubled. It was Christian Arroyo. He doubled to left field. So they had a man on second with one out in a 3-3 game in the ninth inning. There was a right-hander on the mound, Alex Colomé. Hunter Renfroe struck out swinging. Franchi Cordero struck out swinging. That was it. And then the Red Sox gave up a run in the bottom half, and it was over. Cora was asked about why he didn't hit Martinez after the game and said the only scenario that he was going to hit Martinez is if a left-hander was brought in to face Franchi Cordero. So I get the logic. He wanted to give Martinez a day off. It's early in the year. And Cordero against right-handed pitching, not bad. I still want J.D. Martinez in that spot, Matt. He's the guy I want.
Oh, total agreement. And here's the thing. If they're not willing to pinch hit for Dahlbeck or Renfroe, it indicates to you that they don't want him playing the field. Then they need to add another bat because they can't carry 3 bats off that bench and not use Martinez on days where he's not in the lineup.
So it's just, look, he's your best hitter. And I know he didn't have a great series against the Twins per se, but to me, I'd rather have him get that at bat against a right-handed pitcher than Franchi Cordero. I know that Cora is thinking long-term, both for J.D. Martinez and Cordero, but I want J.D. in that game. I want him in that spot. So that's it for the Baseball Hour this week. Again, we'll have 4 games to talk to you about by the time we get back here on Monday evening. Apologize for any callers we didn't get to. It was a short program. Our thanks to Matt McCarthy for joining. Jimmy Stewart and Billy Lanny as well for their efforts this week in the later hours. Bruins pregame is next. Surratt and Beers, followed by Bruins and Islanders again with Jeremy Swayman and net. We'll see you Monday.
Boom Boom Games, your home for 80s and 90s retro video games, wrestling figures and collectibles, vintage toys, cards, comics, and all your nostalgia needs. They've got something for every console from Atari 2600 to the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Looking for a specific video game? They will try to source it for you. Do you have some old consoles or collectibles? Bring them in because Boom Boom Games buys and trades. Boom Boom Games is also your store for Star Wars toys, Pokemon, and the wrestling selection will have you feeling that sweet chin music. Boom Boom Games in Billerica. Check them out.